Okay, we have a lot of music. I can't believe it's been this long, but we are very happy to see all of you. Thank you so much for coming out, joining us tonight. We're going to start with some music by the master trumpeter, Faya Faku. Okay, he emerged in the 1990s as one of the country's standout talents. He was immersed in the sounds of American and South African jazz, and he was really influenced by the music of Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. He joined a group called the Soul Jazzmen. That's a great name. The experience of this style of music stayed with him his entire career. On this 2005 composition, Mr. Faku pays tribute to the sounds of the Messengers. We're going to hear Sherman Irby's excellent arrangement of, Sherman. That's his name, Sherman Irby. His excellent arrangement of Lulu in Adderley Street. We hope you enjoy it. Sherman Irby, arrangement. Paul Nedzella, baritone. Kitty Rampton, trumpet. We have so much good information for you tonight. We have two hosts that are going to come out here and relieve you from hearing my voice, my very uninformed voice. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Vuyo Sotashi and Mr. Seton Hawkins.
Our next piece comes from 2017. It's drawn from Nduduzo Makatini's album Ikambi, an isiZulu word for cure or solution. The album was created by Nduduzo, as he puts it, as a musical response to an urgent need for healing, a reimagining of our methods of channeling healing beyond stereotypes to bring it closer to the people. From this album, we will hear Itemba, a prayer that remembers the students of the 1976 Soweto uprising. This piece was arranged by Victor Goins.
Jazz pianist, composer, and philosopher Nduduzo Makatini hails from Umgungundlovu, Pietermaritzburg, in KwaZulu-Natal. He is a deep lover and scholar of South African jazz and heritage. He currently resides near my hometown in East London, in the Eastern Cape, and currently heads up the jazz department at the historically political and civil rights-centered University of Fort Hare. As such, his music is steeped in our country's deep spiritualities and cosmologies that lie at the core of the South African jazz expression. Please help me welcome on stage the great pianist, Nduduzo Makatini.
Nduduzo Makatini. Camille Thurman. Victor Goins, arranger. Thandi Ntuli described her 2018 album, Exiled, as grappling with the traumas that have been experienced in the past, traumas we have not healed from. All this leaves us feeling displaced and exiled. But in the same album, Thandi also finds community and fellowship within Africa. On Abyssinia, Thandi finds common ground between the music of South Africa and the music of Ethiopia, inspired by her 2015 trip to the nation. We'll hear Chris Crenshaw's arrangement.
Born and raised in one of South Africa's largest townships, Soshanguve, Pretoria, Thandi comes from a lineage of rich musical heritage, being the niece of celebrated guitarist, pianist, and vocalist Selby Ntuli. At the tender age of 4, she started taking classical piano tutelage. However, her keen interest in jazz was only kindled later in her life, and thus led her to enroll and complete a Bachelor of Music in Jazz Performance at the University of Cape Town. In 2018, she was awarded the prestigious Standard Bank Young Artist for South Africa in the category of jazz. And her latest album, Exiled, as mentioned, was recently nominated for a South African Music Award. Please help me welcome on stage my friend, Thandi Ntuli, joined by 2 South African vocalists, Nonhlanhla Keswa and Melanie Schultz.
Tandi Ntuli, Nontlantla Keswa, Vuyos Otashe, Melanie Schultz, Ted Nash, Chris Crenshaw, Ranger. Few figures loom as large within South African jazz history as the late saxophonist and composer Winston Mankunku Ngozi, an artist whose tenor saxophone sound proved foundational for every generation of South African saxophonists to follow. Mankunku was nevertheless almost unknown outside of South Africa. Choosing to remain in Cape Town during apartheid, he performed under increasingly challenging and restricted working conditions. However, his efforts also trained generations of South African artists, and his 1998 album, Molo Africa, found him performing with longtime peers as well as younger artists he inspired. From that album, we'll hear his hymn-like Song for Bra Des Tutu, his tribute to the legendary Archbishop. Marcus Printup's beautiful arrangement of this offers another iconic piece of South Africa, Enoch Santonga's Nkosi Sikeleli Africa.
Here to play a song for Bradez with us is one of our respected elders in the South African jazz scene, also mentored by Winston Mankunku Ngozi, whom he shares a home base and the rich traditions of the Cape Town jazz scene. It is an honor for us, as the current generation of South African jazz musicians, to be sharing this prolific moment with one of our legends. Please help me honor him as he comes on stage. Bra Makoy Mkhubata.
Gobata. Marcus Printup, arranger. One of South Africa's greatest pianists and composers, the late Bheki Mseleku grew up playing organ in Bakanga groups like The Drive and Spirits Rejoice. And he came to international prominence performing in London in the late 1980s. By his 1994 album Timelessness, Bheki was recording with legendary artists like Joe Henderson, Elvin Jones, and Abbey Lincoln. On Through the Years, Bheki's collaboration with Abbey Lincoln, he pays tribute to two elders, from America, Thelonious Monk, and from South Africa, Kippie Moeketsi. Tonight we hear this work, arranged by Wynton Marsalis and featuring Vuyo Sotashe and Induduzo Maketini. Please help us welcome them back to the stage.
Through the years, the sounds of loving music. Come and go. The faces of some people we know, who bring a haunting melody and play a simple song, who live to bring a sound of thrill that lives and lingers on. The sounds that we hear when earth and heaven are near. A muted trumpet or soulful saxophone, a wail, a singer's moan. a haunting melody, and play a simple song. Who live to bring a sound of thrill that lives and lingers on, the sounds that we hear when heaven and earth are near. A muted trumpet or a soulful saxophone, a wail, a singer's moan.
Vuyo Sotashe, Nduduzo Makatini, Wynton Marsalis, arranger. Throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, many South African artists went into exile in Europe and in the United States, collaborating with artists abroad and bringing their music and the anti-apartheid message to a global audience. One of them, the Brus Trio, featured the talents of two South Africans, drummer Gilbert Matthews and poet Lefifi Tladi. Tonight we'll hear their composition Gunjo, but with a notable change. In this arrangement by Chris Crenshaw, we will hear the words of former President Thabo Mbeki's landmark speech, "I am an African." Delivered in 1996 at the Constitutional Assembly in South Africa to mark the passage of the nation's new constitution, Mbeki's speech spoke to the violence and conflict that shaped South Africa's past, while also articulating a vision for what post-apartheid South Africa could be. Vuyo Sotashe delivers the speech.
I am an African. I owe my being to the hill and the valleys, the mountains and the glades, the rivers, the deserts, the trees, the flowers, the seas and the ever-changing seasons that define the face of our native land. My body has frozen in our frosts and in the latter-day snows. It has thawed in the warmth of our sunshine and melted in the heat of the midday sun. The crack and rumble of the summer thunders, lashed by startling lightning, have been a cause of both trembling and hope. I am the child of Unongause. I am he who made it possible to trade in the world's markets in diamonds, in gold, in the same food for which my stomach yearns. I come from those who were transported from India and China, whose being resides in the fact solely that they were able to provide physical labor, who taught me that we could both be at home and be foreign, who taught me that human existence itself demanded that freedom was a necessary condition for that human existence. Asunder as these, all of whom are my people, engaged one another in a titanic battle. The one redress a wrong that has been caused by one to another, and the other to defend the indefensible. I have seen what happens when one person has superiority of force over another. When the stronger appropriate to themselves the prerogative, even to annul the injunction that God created all men and women in His image. Among us prowl the products of our immoral and amoral past and present. Killers who have no sense of worth of human life. Rapists who have absolute disdain for the women of our country. Animals who seek to benefit from the vulnerability of the children, the disabled and the old. The rapacious who brook no obstacle in their quest for self-enrichment. All this I know and know to be true because I am an African. Because of that, I am also able to state that this fundamental truth, that I am born of a people who are heroes and heroines. I am born of a people who would not tolerate oppression. I am of a nation that would not allow that fear or death, torture, imprisonment, exile or persecution should result in the perpetuation of injustice. The great masses who are our mother and father will not permit that the behavior of the few result in the description of our country and people as barbaric. Patient because our history is on our side. These masses do not despair because today the weather is bad, nor do they turn triumphalist when tomorrow the sun shines. Whatever the circumstances they have lived through, and because of that experience, they are determined to define for themselves who they are and who they should be. Whatever the setbacks of the moment, nothing can stop us now. Whatever the difficulties, Africa shall be at peace. However improbable it may sound to the skeptics, Africa will prosper. Whoever we may be, whatever our immediate interests, however much we carry baggage from our past, however much we have been caught up by the fashion of cynicism and loss of faith in the capacity of the people. Let us err today and say, nothing can stop us now. Nothing can stop us now. Nothing can stop us now.
Puyo Sotache. Winton Marsalis. Carlos Enriquez. Chris Crenshaw, Ranger. We're going to take a 15-minute intermission. This is the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra.
Only through quality music making and through quality music making practices in substantive literature will our students be challenged to go deeper inside themselves, to play above themselves, to realize more fully their individual and collective potential, to engage in a creative dialogue across time, and to interface with the finest minds and spirits that have ever lived.
If it wasn't for Jazz at Lincoln Center, I would not be playing jazz. They have opened me up to a whole entire world, and it's amazing, and they give me lots of opportunities to play and opportunities to learn and grow.
I'm from Virginia, and we didn't have programs like this. So for me, I take a lot of enjoyment out of this program because I see what they can do. Opportunities in New York City that you don't necessarily have elsewhere.
Allington's really showed me sort of like the peak of what, or the capability of what high school musicians can accomplish. I've done a lot of different ensembles, jazz ensembles and classical ensembles, but really nothing has matched sort of the professionalism and the seriousness with which the bands at the finals at Essentially Ellington really treat and handle this music with. It really inspires me to try to push myself to be the best musician I can be.
What you guys are doing is very special. It's very special. And to have me a part of this means a lot. And I'm hoping we can continue this, and spread this to as many schools as possible in the city because they desperately need this. They desperately need this.
These children are not trying to be Louis. They're not trying to be whoever. They're just being themselves. Oh, I can't tell you how amazing they're going to be because you don't know what they're going to do. They have their own ideas and mind of their own. There'll be another little Louis in a different kind of a way.
All of our kids should know how to improvise. It's their birthright. Swing. How to find and embrace the individuality of others through rhythm. How to realize and accept that there are many ways to solve the same problem, and your perspective is only one. How to create with a group and self-edit to leave space for others and to adjust to changing circumstances with a minimum of fuss. You are not the answer. We are.
Welcome back. With April 1994's democratic elections came a wave of optimism in South Africa and a creative burst in the jazz scene. Within that decade, a debate among artists intensified of whether to follow popular music trends in the world or to embrace local traditions and develop them further. During that time, Mokoe Mkgobata became a leading voice in the discussion as he drew on the sounds of past South African players like Ezra Ntlukana to develop a new songbook of South African jazz inspired by the country's history. On his 2002 Bakanga composition, Face the Music, Mkgobata pays tribute to the artists and listeners who supported the local styles. We'll hear Carlos Enriquez's arrangement. Please welcome back to the stage, Mokoe Mkgobata. Nkubata. Carlos Enriquez, arranger.
This next song, Ula Wetini, is a traditional song that's commonly sung during a Xhosa rites of passage called Ulwaluko. It was first popularized as a South African jazz standard by the late saxophonist and composer Zimqawana, whom our next guest, Nduduzo Makhathini, had the fortune of touring and recording with. This particular version you're about to experience is arranged by Sherman Irby and features Mokoe Nkubata as well. This is Ula Kwetini. Kwe nazo kwethini nazo kwethini hanize nazo kwethini nazo kwethini ho yo 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 hanize nazo kwethini nazo awusithi qula kwethini qula kwethini baba oyo yo yo qula kwethini qula kwethini hey hey qula oh lo lo qula kwethini baba Hula kwethini kaba, hula kwethini kaba, hani sinazo, hai hani sinazo. Hula 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 kwethini, hula kwethini kaba. Hai helele hula yoyo kwethini bo, hula kwethini kaba oh hula kwethini kaba oh ele mama we ala ele hula kwethini kaba.
Vuyo Sotashe, Makoen Kubata, Nduduzo Makatini, Sherman Irby, arranger. One of the most promising new voices to emerge in South Africa in the 1990s, pianist Moses Taiwo Molelekwa quickly became one of the country's most influential figures in jazz, drawing on both local traditions and influences around the globe to create a sound singularly his own. His all too brief career was cut tragically short by his unexpected passing in 2001, sending shockwaves throughout South Africa and silencing one of the world's most promising young musical voices. In the music he left behind, we encounter work of extraordinary vision. We'll hear Carlos Enriquez's arrangement of Rapela from Molelekwa's incredible 1998 album Genes and Spirits, featuring our guests Thandi Ntuli, Vuyo Sotashe, Nonhlanhla Keswa, and Melanie Schultz. Please join me in welcoming them back to the stage. Sandi Ntuli, Nonhlanhla Keswa, Vuyo Sotashe, Melanie Schultz, Winton Marsalis, Victor Goins, Carlos Enriquez, arranger. The poet and activist James Matthews, hailing from Cape Town's legendary District 6 neighborhood, would become a leading voice in black consciousness in South Africa, founding the country's first black-owned art gallery in 1972 and the first black-owned publishing house in 1974. Denied a passport to leave South Africa, at times detained by the government, even finding his works banned, Matthews never stopped writing, and his resulting works would inspire generations to come. In 2010, he began a collaboration with vocalist Melanie Schultz entitled Freedom's Child, in which she set his poetry to new music. From that, we'll hear Weave Me a Fantasy, Child of the Sun, arranged by Victor Goins.
Melanie Schultz is a South African-born, multi-award-winning jazz singer and composer. This classically trained opera cum laude graduate has released 5 solo albums and has been featured on many other South African and international recordings. Please give her a round of applause. Melanie Schultz singing.
Weave me a fantasy, child of the sun. Come speak to me, relieve me of bitterness. Tell me that love's not a counterfeit joy. Oh, weave me a fantasy, child of the sun, so that love will bloom, make my spirit grow, strong stemmed as flowers. I need your warmth, child of the sun. Weave me a fantasy, child of the sun. Come speak to me, relieve me of bitterness. Tell me that love's not a counterfeit joy. Oh, weave me a fantasy, child of the sun, so that love may bloom, make my spirit grow, strong stemmed as flowers. I need your warmth, child of the sun. I need
Melanie Schultz. Winton Marsalis. Dan Nimmer. Victor Goins, arranger.
This next item, Mandao, is a traditional healing chant from the Bedi nation of South Africa. This rendition features treatment of Xhosa and Zulu improvisation and was arranged by Vincent Gardner. Leading the chant is South African actress, performer, and vocalist Nonhlanhla Kheswa. Born and raised in Soweto and Alexandra Township, she began her journey as a child actor on the hit television series called Soul City. After being discovered by Disney recruiters, she joined the Broadway cast of Lion King as a soloist. Since then, she starred in Peter Brook's production of The Suit, which toured Europe, Asia, and North America. Please honor Nonhlanhla Kheswa.
Lakeshwa, Vuyo Sotashe, Melanie Schultz, Sherman Irby, Vincent Gardner, arranger. Even in the pantheon of South African jazz legends, Hugh Masekela stands as a giant. A virtuoso who helped introduce America to the sounds of South African jazz in the 1960s, he would also be one of the most indomitable figures in the struggle against apartheid. In the 1990s, he returned home and became a mentor to new generations of artists. In post-apartheid South Africa, he articulated a new role for the music in society as a driver towards a better future. In his piece, Send Me, from his 2002 album, Time, Hugh Masekela drew upon the South African hymn Tumamina and added new verses addressing the current struggles in South Africa. In doing so, he composed a call to action, an effort to rouse people out of complacency to actively work towards a better society. For our final piece of the evening, we invite all of our guests to join us on Marcus Printup's arrangement of Send Me, led by Nhlanhla Keswa.
I wanna be there when the people start to turn it around, when they triumph over poverty. I wanna be there when the people win the battle against AIDS. I wanna lend a hand, I wanna be there for the alcoholic. I wanna be there for the drug addict. I wanna be there for the victims of violence and abuse. I wanna lend a hand. Send me to mommy now. To mommy now. To mommy now. To mommy now. As he I wanna be there when the people win the battle against AIDS. I wanna lend a hand. I wanna be there for the victims of violence and abuse. I wanna lend a hand. Send me to mommy now. To mommy now. To mommy now. Hey, as he said.
Anfanza Keswa, Buyo Sotashe, Melanie Schultz, McCoy Kubata, Tandi Ntuli, Nduduzo Makatini, Dan Nimmer, Elliot Mason, Camille Thurman, Marcus Printup, Vincent Gardner, Chris Crenshaw, Sherman Irby, Ted Nash, Victor Goins, Paul Nedzella, Ryan Kaiser, Kenny Rampton, Winton Marsalis, Carlos Enriquez, Charles Gould. This is the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. Thank you.